Thank you for listening to Depictions Media Radio. Welcome to Policy and Rights, the show about government policy and human rights. Welcome back to Policy and Rights here on Depictions Media Radio. I am your host, Michael Clogs. Women's rights is an ongoing issue, but one of the biggest ongoing issues, of course, is equality in general. And privilege has been used as a weapon against groups that, hey, to be said simply, the feeling is, you as a group scare me, so I'm going to beat you with my privilege so that you can't achieve. I want to hold you back as long as possible so that you can't do anything that's going to hurt me, because I want to remain in power. Well, that's a very sad way of looking at things, and we should start to change that attitude. For those of us who hold privilege, we should be opening our hearts so that those without can achieve the same levels that you do. You're the ones that can break down those walls and open things up to equality. Release the fear and open the doors. Don't just open them just a crack so you I like that one, I'll let that one in. Don't open the doors just so a few get through. Open the doors wide enough so that all can get through. In fact, why don't we dismantle the wall altogether so that we all coexist and work together? We're going to hear from the United Nations in this next segment about things like technology and education that are being withheld and used as weapons against women so that they can't achieve. That most of the women around the world don't even know what it's like or how to even access the internet, the information highway. We think because, here we live in a industrialized country that, all women have access to it. No, that's not true. That is one of the weapons of information that it's used to hold people back. Information is power, and to withhold that power is a weapon. So why don't we listen to some of the things that were said about in this inquiry about women's equality at the United Nations, as several different countries speak about what their countries do and what the outcry of that country is to help the women around the world.
I call to order the 12th meeting of the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Should I read all this? No, nothing was underlined. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I now invite the Commission to resume the general discussion under Agenda Item 3, Before giving the floor to the first speaker, I would like to remind delegations to kindly respect the agreed time limits, 5 minutes for member states speaking in national capacity, 5 minutes for intergovernmental organizations and United Nations system entities, and 3 minutes for non-governmental organizations in consultative status with the Economic and Social Council. The microphone will be automatically muted when the allotted speaking time has elapsed. I also wish to recommend that delegations refer intermittently to the updated live list of speakers on the e-speakers module of the e-delegate portal so that they are ready to speak when given the floor. I thank you for your understanding and cooperation. And before giving the floor to our first speaker, can I ask the representatives of the NGO in the gallery to keep the silence, please? Thank you very much. I now give the floor to our first speaker, who is Her Excellency Fune Wadidi Coulibaly, Ministre de la Promotion de la Femme.
Minister of Promotion of Women, Children and Families of Mali. You have the floor, Madam.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Allow me to warmly congratulate you on behalf of the Malian delegation on the holding of the 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. This is a very relevant topic today. Madam Chair, the work of this 67th session of the CSW is taking place in a situation in Mali that is marked by a profound political and security crisis. The actions of the transitional authorities are aimed at helping the country emerge from the crisis and promote harmonious development. Madam Chair, understanding the issues relating to digital technology, Mali has dedicated an entire ministerial department to this issue to coordinate government action as part of our national policy and strategic plan for ICTs. And we have established bodies including the Agency for Managing the Universal Access Fund, the Agents for ICT Technologies, the Malian Society for Transmission and Diffusion. And we also have 3 mobile telecom operators, that is to say Move Africa Mali, Orange Mali, and Telecel. Our population is estimated at over 20 million, half of which are women. In 2021, we had the following statistics. 25,177,577 people were subscribed to telephone plans, including over 24 million with mobile plans, more than 90% of them, that is to say, and 281,074 people subscribed to landlines, and over 9.6 million internet users, which is about 45.48% of the population, 241 women who are working in ICTs in our public administration, or 26.82% of the state's technician staff. We also have projects to achieve gender equality and empowerment of women and girls through ICTs. Here, notable projects include the Buy from
Mitsubishi
Women
Motors
project,
released the world's
which is an information service for women farmers. There are 1,422 farmers, women farmers, enrolled, as well as 35 cooperatives, 20 suppliers, 22 food processors, and 1,596 buyers. We also have the Universal Access Center project, which has trained, funded, and provided computers, office equipment, solar panels, and batteries for dozens of women. We have the CASE Wi-Fi project, which equipped 100 schools with tablets together with educational applications and necessary equipment. This project plans to equip 150 schools. We have the 50 Million Women Are Speaking project. This is an interactive digital platform for women in the business world with 2,026 women entrepreneurs enrolled. We have the Women's Empowerment and the Children's Development Fund, as well as the Women's Economic Empowerment Fund, which finance training activities for ICTs and target women and girls so that they can be empowered. We also have provided more than 20,000 students with laptops. And so more than 27,000 women and girls have benefited from these training programs and have received equipment since 2021. However, despite the progress we've made on this session's topic, Mali has been experiencing various challenges, including access to ICT tools, internet access to energy sources, a lack of literacy in the use of these technologies, and security problems that undermine digital installations, and that reduces access of women and girls to the internet. Madam Chair, we are a country full of people standing up for their rights, and we are committed to ensuring that digital technology can help to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment. Thank you very much.
Je remercie Son Excellence, Madame.
I thank Her Excellency, Ms. Fornewadidi Coulibaly. I now give the floor to His Excellency, Her Excellency, Ogerta Manastirliu, Minister of Health and Social Protection of Albania.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson of the session, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me as the Minister of Health and Social Protection to address on behalf of the Albanian government the 76th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. The CSW theme presents an opportunity to expedite the achievement of SDG 5, which encourages gender equality and women's empowerment by 2030. The government of Albania considers women's rights and gender equality a priority, acknowledging its importance in terms of economic and social development of our country. In collaboration with all stakeholders, Government of Albania is working to empower women through economic, social, and political participation in all areas. Women in Albania are represented in high leadership positions in all power domains. Speaker of the Parliament of Albania and more than 70% of government members are women. In addition, women hold the majority of executive roles in independent bodies and 2/3 of the seats of the Constitutional Court's bench. Ministry of Health and Social Protection plays an important role in the gender reforms and transformative changes that Albania is undergoing. Innovation and technology are top priorities for our country. And with all investments completed so far for the digitalization of public services, Albania was ranked 8th in Europe and 19th overall for digital public services by the UN Digital Development Compass. The government of Albania has enabled, through e-Albania platform, public institutions to deliver electronic and online services. More than 1,220 public services are available online. 2.7 million citizens are registered at the e-Albania platform and 53% of users are women. Women have direct access to data and public services through the public digital platforms, which also provide them the power to shape their own economic futures. With the public digital platforms, we increase the access in the development programs as agriculture support schemes, healthcare services, and social assistance, with the aim to address some of the challenges that faced by vulnerable women. We are aware of how digitalization is boosting gender equality and altering the lives of women. The prevention of cyber violence, gender-based violence, and ensuring online safety all call for women and girls to become more aware about online safety issues. On the other hand, we must accelerate the pace to eliminate the disparities in women's participation and leadership in technology, education, and employment as more women become attracted to the prospect of being wages and financial independence. The Digital Agenda of Albania 2026 lays out the plan for cutting-edge technologies, innovative solutions, and open access to services for the general public. The National Strategy for Sustainable Development and European Integration cites innovation and technology as important development accelerators. In order to achieve this, gender mainstreaming is consistently implemented in sectoral digitalization strategies and action plans. Albania's National Strategy for Gender Equality 2030, among all, includes a strategic goal for the empowerment of women and girls in all their diversity, with a focus on reduction of barriers keeping women away from the labor market and increased access to decent work, including non-traditional STEM areas. Jobs in STEM and ICT pays 2 to 8 times more than the average yearly salary in the region. They can improve the freedom and financial stability of women. Increasing women participation in the digital workforce, particularly through entrepreneurship and online business initiatives, is one of the key objectives of our new employment and skills strategy. I'm also happy to share with you that in the preparation of the 67th session of the Commission, with the support of UN Women Albania hosted a sub-regional virtual consultation with participation from Western Balkans and Turkey. The gathering provided an opportunity to identify existing challenges for enhancing women and girls' participation in STEAMs and to exchange experiences on priority responses, to identify actions including to promote ICT STEAMs job and business for women, ensure that investments for digital transformation include a gender perspective, strengthening women access to data privacy and ownership, and foster regional.
I thank the distinguished Minister of Albania, and I now give the floor to Her Excellency Amina Priscillongo, Minister of Gender and National Solidarity of Chad. Madam Chair, at the outset, allow me to warmly greet you on behalf of my delegation and on my own behalf. The topic of today's session, which is about innovation and education in the digital era to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment, is very important to us for many reasons. And here we have the honor of informing you that Chad, led by the President of the Transition, General Mohamed Ibistibit Itno, has begun to implement its National Action Plan to implement Resolution 1325. It's important to note and emphasize that one major goal of this plan has to do with improving knowledge and access of women and girls to technology and ICTs. To improve access to technology, the government of Chad has undertaken important measures. We have a development strategic plan for technology to attain a diversified and resilient economy by 2030, with measures that favor women. We also have a national fiber optic plan that is currently underway to improve the population's access to this technology. On the operational level, we must note that there's been a 30% reduction of internet access rates and mobile data rates, and we also have reduced imports of digital equipment. And we also have educational, healthcare, justice, and financial, as well as e-governance measures underway. We have not yet ratified the Budapest Convention. However, the government has created a National Agency for Information Security and Electronic Certification, which is entrusted with fighting cybercrime, inter alia. Now, the importance of technology is obvious. However, it is often inaccessible for developing countries, especially African countries, where means of access to the internet is only 22% in sub-Saharan Africa, according to the World Bank. Madam Chair, our population is made up mainly of women, and especially rural women, and we are facing urgent challenges, including access to water, primary health care, security, social protections, and therefore, we understand deeply the importance of today's topic. And that is why we call for concerted action on how to reorient investment toward technology while meeting the basic needs of our populations. And therefore, we need to speak together about this topic, about inclusive development. Madam Chair, we hope that our session will lead to strong resolutions and not just words, so that we can truly eradicate violence online against women and girls. Because we believe it is inconceivable that those that promote digital platforms are concerned only about their profits to the detriment of the protection of their users. In conclusion, Madam Chair, I would like to reaffirm the strong commitment of my country, Chad, to take this opportunity, that is the use of technological innovation, to strengthen education and ensure the empowerment of women and girls for sustainable and inclusive development. Thank you. I thank the distinguished Minister of Chad, and I now give the floor to Her Excellency Giselle Luceba Ndaya, Minister of Gender and Family of the DRC. You have the floor, Madam.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente, pour la...
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. At the outset, I'd like to join those who spoke before me to warmly congratulate you for presiding over the work of the 67th session of the CSW. I have the honor of emphasizing that the delegation of the DRC aligns itself with the statement made by Sierra Leone on behalf of the African group and also the development of Southern Africa. Allow me to begin by stating that the DRC ratified on September 5th, 2019, its National Digital Plan for 2025 and has included it in its National Development Strategy 2019-2023, demonstrating our resolve to turn toward the future. Our Constitution of February 18th, 2006, as amended, promotes the principle of non-discrimination, especially when it comes to education and access to information and communication, in accordance with the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women and the Declaration and Action Program of Beijing for 1995. Our family code has been amended and now helps to foster equal rights between men and women. We have various priority projects and a strategic plan, including our National Digital Identity System, or SNID, approved by the Council of Ministers on January 30th, 2020. A feasibility etude has already allowed for the establishment of a National Population Register, which is issuing voter cards that also serves biometric ID cards for all Congolese citizens. This has been operational for several months now. We also have a national research and teaching network of which the agreement was signed on November 12, 2020, and for which a feasibility study is currently underway. This will connect to universities and the scientific research world together with information technology equipment for students. Madam Chair, acceleration of our National Digital Plan 2025 focuses on promoting innovation and technological change, as well as empowerment of all women and girls. These are some of the main objectives of my country. In light of this, the DRC government has established the development fund for micro as well as SMEs, and we also have an important program to digitalize the text of laws that promote women's rights. We want to increase awareness among women entrepreneurs and communities with regard to laws on the management of small and medium enterprises and that foster women's entrepreneurship. We also wish to increase awareness of decision makers and enterprises when it comes to incorporating the gender issue. As part of this project, we have GPS-equipped smartphones equipped with an application to create a network of entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, and this will help facilitate information sharing for women entrepreneurs and the communities affected. The efforts made by the DRC to include women in the technological era also includes a project called 50 Million Women Are Speaking. And this is an initiative of the African sub-region, which aims to create and deploy a social media platform to address the problems that women in particular are facing, especially women entrepreneurs, that is to say a lack of entrepreneurial instruction and training, as well as a lack of access to financing and financial services, as well as information technology. Madam Chair, the DRC strongly believes that digital technology will contribute to improving women's economic performance. It will also strengthen women and girls' capacities and will improve our knowledge and help us fight poverty. This is a major opportunity for our talented young women who are working in this very promising sector for a better future. But to ensure that women and girls are at the center of changes in technological innovation, and to ensure that an inclusive digital economy is established in the DRC, we need peace. Weapons need to be silenced in the DRC. The women of my country need your support and your action in this cause. And we must ensure that policy gaps and gaps in our legislation must be closed. And there needs to be investment in digital infrastructure to bridge the divide between genders. Thank you very much.
Je remercie Madame
I thank Minister Ndaya.
I will now give the floor to Her Excellency Maria da Conceição da Silva Evora, Minister of Women, Family and Social Solidarity of Guinea-Bissau.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Excellencies. The 67th session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women is of crucial importance to women worldwide. In Guinea-Bissau, the Constitution of the Republic is clear in its Article 24, affirming that all citizens are equal under the law, enjoy the same rights, and are subject to the same duties without distinction of race, gender, social, intellectual, or cultural status, religious belief, or philosophical conviction. Bissau Guinean women today is key in the pursuit of various goals in society. She has performed with the zeal and skills required for various roles in the social context. While we can state that as we modernize, women have risen to business, organizational, and political leadership positions, there continues to be some gender inequality in women's representation in politics. In 2018, the People's National Assembly approved a parity law that establishes a quota for women in the decision-making sphere, with a minimum representation of 36% in the list of elected positions. Nonetheless, Bissau-Guinean women still face difficulties in rising to positions of power, being elected, or having an active voice in political decision-making. In the economic arena, we can say that women's economic emancipation favors economic growth and prosperity, not only for themselves, but also for their families and society. This is the reason why we are in the process of adopting a national strategy toward women's autonomy, including the SDG indicators based on 4 main pillars, namely political autonomy and leadership, economic autonomy, social autonomy, and protection. The time is now for influential women to have a voice in the day-to-day lives of our peoples to promote gender equality, which must be a priority. We believe that women's advancement can only be possible in an environment of peace and social harmony. Therefore, we are united, women, mothers, and educators, with a single voice to strongly condemn all attitudes that are bellicose and detrimental to public order, security, and tranquility in Guinea-Bissau. Your Excellencies, we speak of gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow, as climate changes are a multiplier of threats. In Guinea-Bissau, we recognize that the need for women's participation in the decisions toward actions to adapt to and mitigate climate change, as they are more vulnerable to the effects of calamities and are active in their community's response. Rural Bissau Guinean women, as millions of other women throughout the world, must strive to combat climate changes and build healthy economies and rural landscapes, as these practices can promote the restoration of forests, the conservation of landscapes, and increase resilience to climate impacts, such as droughts. Before I conclude my remarks, I would like to underline that Guinea-Bissau or other states approved and ratified various conventions, agreement protocols, and international treaties. Yet Bissau Guinean women continue to face many violations of their rights, including harmful practices such as female genital mutilation, early marriage, forced marriage, violations in their different forms, etc. Therefore, I stress that merely writing and changing laws, whether nationally or internationally, is not enough to transform the reality experienced by women. Entitlements are only a legal instrument. In order for their effects to be real, they must be accompanied by social behaviors and practices that favor their application. And we must be conscious that women's rights and their implementation are indispensable to build a more democratic society. Thank you very much.
Je remercie la distinguée ministre.
I thank the distinguished Minister of Guinea-Bissau. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Savia Mint Ntara, Minister of Social Action of Mauritania.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sallallahu ala nabiyyir.
In the name of God, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegations, Madam Chair, allow me to convey to you and members of the Bureau our congratulations for your election as chair of the 67th session of the CSW and for skillfully leading our work. Mauritania aligns itself with the statements made by the Arab group and the African group, as well as the statement of the Islamic Conference and G77 plus China. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, over the past few years, Mauritanian women have made great progress toward progress and prosperity and have moved forward in many fields, including the promotion of rights, economic empowerment, increased political participation and decision-making, and we have made many efforts to guarantee and facilitate the provision of basic services for the most vulnerable groups of the population, including women and girls with disabilities. Despite these efforts, the outcomes have not been ideal due to a lack of awareness among women about the importance of these services, as well as the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. To respond to the situation and to promote the access of women to these services, the Ministry of Social Work, Children and Families has been striving for 3 years to implement a series of development programs targeting women and girls. These include the distribution of loans to finance income-generating activities for women in vulnerable situations, the training of women in-demand fields, distribution of scholarships to highly skilled, to talented girls, as well as efforts to improve outreach for families, and so forth. To fight violence against women, Mauritania has stepped up its commitment over the past few years for the protection and promotion of the rights of women. We have a national strategy for gender mainstreaming that was ratified in 2015. We also have a legal framework to combat violence against women and girls, and this text is currently being considered in order to be adopted by Parliament. As for female genital mutilation and training of religious clergy, this is part of our national efforts. We have a national commission as well to combat gender-based violence, including mutilation. And we are incorporating the gender approach through sectorial committees in all of the relevant government sectors. We also are continuing our voluntary program to encourage ending this harmful practice against girls at a national level. And on International Women's Day, we launched a special TV channel for the issues of women and girls, led by the Ministry of Social Action, Women and Children. And we also have established a research center for victims of violence. We also have 2 major projects that have made progress. We have various banks for families, and we also have a market for women producers in certain underserved regions of the capital. And we also have a new saddle producing factory that is with the women employees. Our country has made great progress thanks to the political determination of His Excellency, the President of the Republic. And women in our country make up 6 ministers, 22% of the total, 20% of the parliamentarians, 13% of heads of regional councils, including the Nouakchott Council in our capital. There are also 1,338 regional advisors out of 3,800 total, or 31.5%. A digitalization ministry was created and will be very important for women's access to technology. And to promote the status of women, we are continuing to honor our commitments in this area while supporting and abiding by the principles of Sharia, which are the reference for our country's laws. And may peace be with you.
Je remercie Madame la Ministre.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister Mintata. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Aisha Nanette Comte, Minister for Advancement of Women, Children and Vulnerable Persons of Guinea. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, the delegation of the Republic of Guinea that I have the honor of representing expresses its greetings from His Excellency Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, President of the National Committee of the Assembly for Development, which took in its hands the destiny of our country from September 5th, 2021. We also would like to extend our congratulations to the Bureau of the 67th session of the Commission of the United Nations on the Status of Women for the brilliant election and organization of the current session, whose theme shows the concerns of Guinea's authorities, which give great importance to the consideration of the gender aspect of the problem we face when it comes to accessing ICTs. In order to respond to the matters concerning the theme that we have for this year, my country's report shows the disparities in the area of access to ICTs. Progress made in the area of considering the gender aspect, main challenges in this sector, and perspectives on equal access by all. Concerning gender disparities, the proportion of women compared to men when it comes to access to and staying in school at the primary levels for technical and university education are now much weaker. One of the main challenges in Guinea is limited access to technology and the internet for women and girls. According to the International Telecommunications Union, only 33% of women in Guinea have access to the internet. When it comes to access to technology, women remain underrepresented in areas like engineering, arts, and technical specializations. In Guinea, for the year of university studies 2021-2022, women represented 32% of the students in ICT studies. When it comes to instructors in classes, this was only 8.4%, and those that were instructors and that were also in research, this was only 4%. Madam Chair, when we look at progress made, we have the creation of a national week for scholarly merit. We have the digitization currently underway of the Guinean education system within the framework of a change in education according to the recommendations by UNESCO. 196 cyber centers were built and equipped in secondary, professional, and higher learning establishments throughout the country thanks to through a presidential initiative. Despite these efforts, women and girls' access to ICTs remains very much limited in the formal and informal areas, especially in rural zones. This is concerning the non-definition of strategies for awareness raising and motivating young girls to seek out careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. There is little funding for academic tutoring and other measures that would incentivize girls to focus on and stay in scientific and technical fields. The creation of equipment and awareness raising on the risks related to training on these matters, mainly when it comes to cybercrime, must be considered as well. Training for these groups and cooperatives that need to use ICTs and communication in developing their businesses would have to be considered as well. Madam Chair, distinguished members, my delegation and I would like to reiterate our commitment to work within the framework of the implementation of the policy that would guarantee integration of innovation in training for young girls and women. I would like to thank the distinguished Minister of Guinea. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Madame Sophia Laureus, Minister of Women's Affairs and Women's Rights for Haiti. Madam Chair, distinguished delegates, as Minister for the Status of Women and Women's Rights in Haiti, I am so happy to be able to take the floor at this assembly, and I would like to take this opportunity to deliver the warm regards of our country's government, our women, and our people in Haiti in general, and congratulate all those who contributed to organizing this fantastic event, the 67th session for the CSW. Ladies and gentlemen, the CSW is an essential institutional instrument for promoting women's rights at the global level. It shows the reality lived by women throughout the world and contributes to establishing global standards concerning gender equality and women's autonomy. This year, the 67th session is being celebrated, and we are looking during this session at our priority theme: innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. Now, women's autonomy and the autonomy of girls will only be possible when women are able to participate in all aspects of development. Within this participation, there's the notion of active and significant inclusion of women and girls as full citizens and decision makers in all institutions, whether they be private or public, as well as in political, economic, and social processes. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Haiti, led by Dr. Ariel Henry, over the last 25 years, has undertaken constant efforts to implement programs that seek to concretely implement the resolutions of the 1995 Beijing Action Platform. The actions to be taken in this area are many, given the insufficiencies we've seen. The phenomenon of young mothers is growing, and the resources we need have been a challenge. Mass media continues to circulate degrading images of women and sexist publicity that furthers the patriarchal system. These are concerns for my country, and we must deliver an urgent and appropriate response to that. We must find new strategies that are promising for gender inequality to be addressed in a substantial manner, and that this be a priority when it comes to national and global decision making. Madam Chair, Haiti is convinced that gender equality is a fundamental pillar upon which the creation of a democratic state rests, and resources are an essential factor if we want to have sustainable results in that area. We continue to believe that gender-based budgeting is vital for gender equality. States party to this session are invited to implement measures that would allow their governments to adopt gender-based budgeting in their administration. Ladies and gentlemen, with a view to guaranteeing the best results possible in the area of gender equality, as well as women's rights and autonomy, the government of Haiti reiterates its commitment to using a double approach, a two-pronged approach when it comes to gender equality. And there are two tools that we have for that: comparative gender analysis and gender-based budgeting. We have to increase support for institutional mechanisms for gender equality at all levels and prioritize increased investment in order to achieve gender equality, women's autonomy, and to protect women and girls' human rights. We have to increase our allocated resources, strengthen capacities, and call on all stakeholders, all sectors at all levels to strengthen efforts in this regard. Madam Chair, the government that I am a part of is aware that defending women's rights is a necessary channel towards social and economic balance, as well as a factor for sustainable peace and development in the world. I wish for all of you the courage and perseverance needed for us to win in our shared fight the noble cause of gender equality and the elimination of all kinds of discrimination. Thank you very much for your attention.
Je remercie la distinguée ministre.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Distinguished Minister of Haiti.
Her Excellency Tekea Tesfamikael, President of the National Union of Eritrean Women.
Delegates, my delegation is pleased to take part in this important event. Allow me to state my delegation view in connection to CSW priority, innovation and technological change and education in digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. Eritrea's national education gender policy and strategy framework of action recognizes that sustainable development cannot be realized without the full and equal participation of girls at all levels of education. In this regard, the use and access of digital tools in Eritrea, however limited, has shown an overall increase, contributing to the improvement of women and girls' health and education. For instance, the growing coverage of mobile networks in urban and rural settings is facilitating faster and easier sharing of information, becoming a useful tool in the position of health and other basic service. In this particular, to women is remote and hard to reach geographical areas. While expansion in digital projects such as the Aurora Digital Library Program, which has provided an open access to academic and research material, has been crucial not only for girls' education, but in providing women's lifelong learning opportunities, including their participation in the field of science and technology. Harnessing technological to expand the digital access to education of all girls and boys will remain an important endeavor of government of Eritrea. The speed up of the use of digital tools in education, the government has also partnered with international organizations to provide training teachers on how to effectively use technology in the classroom. While serious efforts are made to increase the use of and access to digital tools in Eritrea, many challenges, however, remain, including high costs associated with access to technology, infrastructure, development skills, and the capacity building, as well as decade-long of regional instability and sanction further compound and hampering the country's development objectives. Distinguished delegates, it would be remissing of my delegation not to mention the significance of digital divide between developing and developed countries as a crucial underlying challenge to women's participation in technology. While advancement in digital technology have provided immense opportunity for women's empowerment as well as economic growth, healthcare development, and better quality of life as a whole, it is important to note that the even progress have created an ever-expanding gap between poor and rich countries as well as between different social groups, women and girls in particular, further polarizing societies. This has the change, and we need to be also mindful of harmful dimensions of cyberspace which amplify the problem women face in the physical world. The need to make digital use safe and secure for women and girls who are the prime target of misuse and abuse of information and communication technology will therefore be critical. Distinguished delegates, once again, coming to this issue of digital divide, Eritrea believes that the challenge of women's access to technology, especially in developing countries, is not limited to inequality between the sexes, but underpinned by the lack of adequate access to technology as a result of existing digital divide between developing and developed countries. My delegation would like to stress on the following three brief points. Number one, disseminating an equal global power structure. There is need to establish global power structure that benefits everyone and eliminate the unequal global power structure which manifests itself in different forms for exploitation, economic relationship between developing and developed countries to the dominated political influence that induce conflicts and instability, imposition of sanction and political pressure, hindering the ability of global south to rapidly progress. Two, ensuring technology transfer. Any political commitment to bridge of the existing gap in the technology must include a commitment to technology transfer to share knowledge, building capacity, skills development, and vocational training based on the need and priority of developing countries. While technology transfer among nations is crucial, a serious commitment is also required for development countries to strengthen their cooperation and establish effective policy framework to invest in human capital and infrastructure development. And finally, while expansion in digital projects such as the Aurora Digital Library programs, which has provided an
I thank the distinguished representative of Eritrea, and I now give the floor to Her Excellency Betty Amongi, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development of Uganda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairpersons, Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my delegation, I wish to convey my appreciation to you, Madam Chairperson, members of the Bureau, and all delegation for the organization of the 67th CSW. Uganda aligns itself with a statement by Sierra Leone on behalf of the Africa Group. The focus of this session on innovation, technology change, and education calls upon us to close the gender gaps in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and IT. The reality is that women are currently 18% less likely than men to own a smartphone, impacting women's access to and use of mobile money services. Women and girls who are unable to take advantage of this benefit risk being doubly excluded, not only from digital services themselves, but from core services such as online government services, e-commerce, online education, health services, use of online public services, which perpetuate the barriers even more. In Uganda, we are still grappling with low network access, especially for rural areas. Than 40% of women and rural areas do not access. High cost of internet, where 1.1% of women and 3.7% of men use internet. Limited access to e-education technology, especially in rural and unserved schools. Limited access to mobile phones, where 62% of female and 71% of male-aided households have access to mobile phones. And yet, digital technologies in particular provide opportunities for greater access to information, education, and skills, and opens possibility for increased employment and business opportunity. They have the potential to allow for services that improve access to health, legal and financial services, and allow traders to access global markets for their products. Digital access can also help raise women's and girls' awareness of their rights, increase their civic engagement and expression of ideas and opinions. That is why, under our legal, policy and national development framework, we are focusing on key priorities of expanding ICT coverage from the current 23% to support service delivery through e-government. We are reducing the cost of internet, which prohibits usage by the most vulnerable groups, especially women and girls. We are promoting gender-responsive ICT infrastructure development that supports innovation and education. We are promoting the utilization of digital platforms in businesses, marketing, and trade, in particular taking advantage of the regional and international markets like our East African market, COMESA, and African Continental Free Trade Area. Counteracting cyber violence and economic exploitation of women and girls is our priority. As a country, our president has underpinned that addressing the gaps in innovation, technological change, and education requires tackling the root cause of women's empowerment, which is education for girls, poverty eradication, and socio-cultural change in behaviors that will focus on promoting women's economic empowerment with a focus on increasing access to credit and financial services, digitalizing trade, improving infrastructure that will deliver science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through financing relevant sectors that spur reduction in access and affordability and increase uptake, education, and skilling. We are promoting gender and equity planning and budgeting to ensure equitable benefit for women and girls from programs funded through our national budget. We are scaling up male engagement in the pursuit of gender equality, including in all interventions to address gender-based violence and women in science, technology, and education. Madam Chairperson, in conclusion, I wish to reiterate Government Uganda's commitment to the global aspiration outlined in the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and other international, regional, and national normative frameworks which guides us in our women's agenda for empowerment. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Uganda, and I now give the floor to the distinguished delegate from Liechtenstein. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gender inequality in the physical world is unfortunately replicated in the digital world, with manifold consequences for those who cannot participate equally in our ever more digital societies and economies. This divide indeed not only reflects global inequalities, with people in developing countries having more limited access to technologies, but also the lack of progress on SDG 5. Women and girls face particular obstacles in terms of safe and secure access to digital literacy skills, data protection and user privacy standards, as well as the rise of online harassment and abuse. We must strive to create a safe and accessible digital environment for women and girls which upholds the respect for human rights and in which technology-facilitated gender-based violence has no place. Equal access to justice remains a key element as well. Only in so doing can we ensure that new and emerging technologies benefit all members of society and contribute to our common endeavor to build a peaceful, just, inclusive, and prosperous future for all. Madam Chair, as it has been emphasized time and again in light of the school closures due to COVID-19 pandemic, equal access to education is a cornerstone of gender equality. In Liechtenstein, we launched an interactive laboratory called Peppermint, MINT standing for Mathematics, IT, Natural Science, and Technology, aimed at helping children and especially girls deepen their interest and knowledge in STEM disciplines. Since 2017, almost 20,000 children and youth participated in the laboratory. We are hopeful that the skills
they acquired will empower them to enter STEM careers and to be agents of change, not only to explore their full potential in a more diverse and inclusive career path, but also to play an integral part in our collective efforts to address global challenges such as climate change, pandemics, and inequality. Madam Chair, gender gaps in education in some regions and for marginalized groups remain highly concerning, as does the significant reversed progress in some countries. It is the role of the Commission on the Status of Women to flag and respond to situations where human rights violations of women and girls are particularly grave. Since the takeover of the Taliban in 2021, women's and girls' rights and freedoms have been drastically curtailed in Afghanistan. Their limited or denied access to education, employment, and public spaces not only constitute violations of human rights and fundamental freedoms, but also further aggravates the humanitarian crisis affecting large parts of the country, with women and girls particularly in need. Liechtenstein also strongly condemns the killing of Mahsa Amini and of many others participating in peaceful protests for women's rights and freedoms in Iran. The arbitrary detention, widespread use of force and death penalty against protesters by the Iranian authorities is unacceptable and must be met with accountability. By removing Iran from this commission, the international community has made it clear that such behavior is not tolerated at the UN and nowhere else. To conclude, I wish to reiterate what Liechtenstein's Foreign Minister, Dominique Hasler, has declared together with her female counterparts a few weeks ago, and I quote, "We stand by the side of the brave women and men of Iran in their daily fight for their rights and their freedom. Their struggle shows that only where women are safe, everybody is safe. Not only in Iran, not only in Afghanistan, but all over the world." End of quote. And I thank you, Madam Chair.
We have a lot of work to do towards equality. And I thank you for listening today to Policy and Rights, because it is one of the focuses that we believe is key to human rights, and that is equality. And we talk about it all the time, about how we need to make things equal, take away the privilege, and make it so that those privileges become rights for everyone. So thank you for listening to us today as we talk more and more about human rights and the policies that governments should be creating to ensure that our rights increase and our freedoms do increase. So wherever you see that subscribe button, please click on it and get continued updates from us as we keep talking about freedom and equality, love and trust that should be in our world, so that we can end things like war and hatred. This show has been produced by Depictions Media. Please contact us at depictions.media for more information.